Where will the next global economic crisis begin? Major economic crises rarely start where everyone is watching. Most of the time, we only realize something is wrong after it's already happening. And when we think about the next crisis, especially looking toward 2026, expecting one big shock might be the wrong idea. It is more likely to build slowly with pressure growing over time until it finally becomes impossible to ignore. Scenario 1. It starts with debt, not stocks. Most people watch the stock market when they think about risk, but the real problem often starts somewhere else. In 2026, that risk is more likely to show up in the debt market. It begins when a big company, a government, or a financial institution needs to refinance its debt and suddenly finds that lenders aren't willing to lend anymore. Not because the borrower has collapsed overnight, but rather because borrowing has become more expensive and trust has started to fade. At first, nothing dramatic happens. One payment gets delayed, then another, investors become more careful, lenders pull back, and slowly the pressure spreads across the system. This is how most crises actually begin. Quietly, step by step, and only after the damage has grown do most people realize what's actually happening. Scenario 2. Risks outside the traditional banking system. After the 2008 crisis, everyone focused on banks. Regulations tightened, risks inside the banking system became easier to see, but looking ahead to 2026, the bigger risks are actually likely sitting outside traditional banking. They are in private debt funds, credit funds, and other complex financial structures that most people don't really see. At first glance, these markets look liquid. As long as conditions are calm, everything seems to work just fine. When markets come under pressure, the picture changes rather quickly. Suddenly, it becomes clear that the liquidity people were counting on isn't really there. Scenario 3. Pressure builds outside the major economies. Many people assume the next global crisis will start in the United States. But that isn't always how these events unfold. In many cases, the pressure builds first in smaller or emerging economies. These countries are carrying large amounts of debt tied to the US dollar, which becomes harder to manage when financial conditions tighten. If several countries struggle at the same time to meet their foreign currency obligations, currency pressure can spread quickly from one market to another. Over time, that pressure can move outward and begin to affect larger economies as well. This is a risk that often stays under the radar until it is already growing. What all three scenarios have in common. Across all three scenarios, the early signs of a crisis appear quietly through a gradual loss of confidence. As markets begin to sense weaker than expected liquidity, underpriced risk, and growing difficulty in managing debt, behavior slowly starts to shift. The next global economic crisis is likely to feel different from what people are used to. It may unfold as a long period of pressure, with occasional shocks along the way, creating an environment where clear decision-making becomes somewhat difficult. In the end, the people who do best are usually the ones who spot hidden risks early and adjust before problems become obvious. Now, we'd like to hear from you. Which of these scenarios feels the most risky to you? Is it pressure in the debt market, problems building in shadow financial institutions, or a currency crisis spreading through emerging economies? Let us know.